Hello. If I'm just talking normal, can you hear me? Elizabeth, you're in the back. Can you hear me?
Bring it closer.
Hello.
I don't want to be.
Hello.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do about that.
Do you want to move it over a little bit? You can move it if you want to. Okay. I can hold it if necessary. Hello. Is that better? Okay. All right, we are getting started. Hi, everybody on Facebook. Thank you so much for bearing with us. There are about 70 people here. Yes. So if you hear people eating, drinking, having a good time, they are doing just that. So welcome, everybody. My name is Berkenda. For those of you who I have not met, I have met a good number of people. It's so great to see some new faces this year. It's a great year. So today's segment, as you can see, we have a very special guest here. This is really about you, our business community, our chamber members, our community members. So if there are any questions that you have, I would say by a show of hands, just go ahead and raise your hand. I will try to get to your question. We do try to keep within the hour time frame, which means that, the hour total ending about 9 o'clock. I will leave some time for you guys to try to say hello to our guest. I will leave some time at the end for you guys to say hello. But we'll try and get as many questions in as possible. I just have a few, but you guys, we're here for you. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our guest. I have not said his name just yet, but it is Mayor Dan Slater, Honorable Mayor Dan Slater. Thank you so much for joining us. Do we have any other council members here today? I want to welcome you. Okay, no, not today.
Yes, we do.
We do? Who's here?
We do?
Okay, no council members here today. That's fine. Before we get started, though, I do want to just tell you a little bit about Dan Slater. I have his bio here, so if you don't mind, I'll read this. If you don't mind? You okay
sure.
with that? Okay. So Dan Slater is a third-generation Orange resident. In fact, he can trace his family roots in Orange back to the 1890s. Dan attended Emmanuel Lutheran in Orange from kindergarten through 8th grade and graduated from Orange Lutheran High in 1977. He received a Bachelor of Arts in Business Administration from Cal State Fullerton in 1985. His concentration was in finance, with an emphasis on real estate. He immediately embarked on his career of residential real estate brokerage at Orange Realty Incorporated, located in Orange's historic core, where Dan is typically the top producing realtor in the city of Orange. Dan Slater is extremely knowledgeable about real estate in all of Orange's unique communities and neighborhoods. His passion for real estate lies in a square mile of vintage homes known as Old Town. With over 1,400 structures built before 1940, it is the largest historic district in the state of California. Guess what? That's where we are today, everybody. For those of you on Facebook Live, we are in historic Old Town. So Dan lives in Old Town in a 1923 California bungalow he restored. Dan's community involvement is extensive. It includes 8 years on the Orange City Council, including serving as the city's mayor pro tem and currently mayor. In addition, Dan has been a longtime member of the Orange Rotary Club, served as president of the Old Town Preservation Association, and president of the Orange Chamber of Commerce. One of our favorites. His dedication to the city of Orange are a testament to the practice of servant leadership in everyday life. He is very involved in the reforestation of Orange. He is proud of the Tree Hero Award he received in April 1996 from California Relief, and the Orange County Environmental Award he received in 2000. In his spare time, he enjoys gardening, backpacking, skiing, outdoor adventure, and traveling. Most recent trips include China, South Africa, and Antarctica. Well, with that, I know you have a very busy schedule, especially as you're just getting started, so thank you so much again for joining us today here in person.
You're very welcome. Can everyone hear me? Okay, good. Can I just start by saying a couple words?
Sure.
First of all, I cannot believe the exuberance this morning on a cold winter day. I love seeing happy business people because that's what Orange is all about, quite frankly. And I want to start by just thanking you for having your businesses in Orange, and I want all of you to be prosperous and successful, and I hope that all of you have a really successful 2023. I'm still in the wrong century, but shows how old I am. But with that, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I know it's always popular, especially in the beginning of terms. I know you're about 39-ish, 40 days in, but to talk about those first 100 days, but I'm so sorry. I heard you mention a to-do list. So instead of talking about your first 100 days, like how is it coming with this to-do list that you have?
Okay, so it's actually going quite well. We've only had one council meeting. Well, actually, we had a small one last night for mostly closed session items, but our first big council meeting was in January, and there are a lot of things on the list. My top 3 items are dealing with homelessness. So on our very first council meeting, we established a Orange Homeless Outreach, and we assigned Councilman Bilodeau and Dimitri to that. The main goal of that is to establish a homeless shelter in Orange. We do not have one. So if the police want to remove or find a place for a homeless person out of the elements, we have to take them either to Buena Park or Placentia. And so that's a hassle. It's not the best interest of the homeless folks. So the courts have ruled that you cannot remove a homeless person from a public right-of-way or ask them to leave unless you can provide a bed and a shelter. So, okay then, we're going to provide a shelter, and we want to put it in a place that's not going to be opposed by citizens, that's not in a neighborhood. But so that's the number one goal. A couple of the other goals were, and we also accomplished at the very first meeting, was to expand all boards and commissions from 5 members to 7 members. That way each council member can have an opportunity to nominate people to serve on the committees. It gets the council more involved. The council is very excited about that. We also voted to, and starting in March, we'll be having 2 council meetings a month instead of 1, which we've been having for, I think, around 6 years. Someone pointed out to me this week that back in the 1980s, there was 3 council meetings a month, the second, third, and fourth Tuesday. When I was on the council 20 years ago, we had 2 meetings, the second and fourth, and then it went to 1, but the council unanimously felt that that wasn't serving the community well enough, that we need to be more business friendly. We need to get applications processed more quickly. And already 2 businesses have been approved in the city. The first one was at our council meeting. The council votes on things that require zone changes. So where Catella Grill was at Catella and Main Street, the owner, longtime owner of the property since the 1800s as well, my grandparents must have known his family. So they proposed a really nice looking car wash for that corner. It's about the best use for that site. So that was approved, so that's going to be under construction soon. And then where the old buildings, the Restaurant Genovese and the building next door to it, that was actually my family's homes back in the 1940s and 1950s. Those homes were built for my father and my uncle when they first got married. And I have family pictures in front of the homes with orange trees between those homes and Tussin Street, which was only a 2-lane road at the time. And those are now going to be torn down. It's fine. And they're not very attractive. A very famous Polish hot dog company from Chicago is going to be going in there. The Planning Commission approved that on Monday. and it's going to close at 11 p.m. but have a drive-through element that's 24 hours.
Oh.
And their food is supposed to be phenomenal. So we're going to have a really exciting 24-hour drive-through in Orange, and I'm looking forward to that. On our next council meeting in February, we're going to establish 2 additional commissions. One is going to be dealing with the Santiago Creek Greenway, which snakes its way right through the middle of Orange. I call it Orange's Grand Central Park. And so we're going to put some more emphasis on that and make sure that it's recognized as an asset to our city. The other committee is going to be dealing with, it's going to be called Clean Orange. It's going to be dealing with code enforcement, illegal signage, illegal street vendors, which are taking businesses away from established licensed businesses in Orange. We've got to reel that in as well. So those are some of the issues that we're dealing with right up front, and so far so good.
Okay. Well, that's a lot. That's a great to-do list, and I do feel like you're on your way. I have watched a number of the council sessions quite a few times over this weekend, actually, in preparation for today. But one question that comes to mind is, I want to ask everybody here, since there's so many of you, has anyone taken advantage of those office hours yet? Anybody here? Anyone made an appointment? Anyone going to make an appointment now that I put you on the spot? I see some hands going up. How is that? So do you feel like your calendar is getting pretty packed up with, the community wanting to come in and utilize that time with you?
So far that's working out very well. Some people thought, oh my gosh, you're going to have crazies coming in and taking up all your time. But so far, I'm holding office hours on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 5 to 7 p.m. We're scheduling half-hour appointments now. If we get busier, then we'll go to 15 minutes. But so far, they've been extremely productive. Really good citizens have been coming in with very positive ideas. And I've had an average of about 2 meetings every day that I've held office hours, and nice. It's going very well. People seem to be receiving that very well.
Very nice. I figured they would. It's always nice to be able to, talk to the people who are part of making the large decisions.
I'll just add, if you do want to come in and meet me at downtown City Hall, and you can see my office too. It's not put together yet, but it's getting there. But anyway, just call Karina Rivas at City Manager's office at her number 744-2219, and or ask me and I'll give it to you again.
Now, as far as the homeless task force, will that be something that the Hub OC is part of as well, or will they have any involvement? I know they have the resource center, but will their resources be involved in that, or how do you see that looking, or do we not know just yet?
So the Hub is the replacement for Mary's Kitchen that was taken on. They're doing such a great job, but unfortunately it's costing the city of Orange $1 million a year. So my goal is to figure out how we can relieve the taxpayers of that burden and get more volunteers and nonprofits and churches involved again. But we'll be working closely with the Hub while they're still around.
Okay.
And because they are providing more of a hand up to the homeless folks instead of just handouts. They need a hand up because otherwise, if you just keep giving them stuff, they're not going to improve their lot in life.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk to Holiday. I think that was December, or no. It was Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday, we spoke to Holiday. It was amazing. She had a great time. We had a great time with her talking about how they all work together, and so that'd be great to figure out a way to keep them around, have them involved. As far as the Santiago Creek preservation, what do we see as far as involvement with that looking like to date? I mean, it's just started, but.
So the creek over many years is often it hasn't been looked at as an asset. There's several old dump sites along the creek because that was considered the place where you put a dump. Or it was a sand and gravel operation and all they did was excavate sand and and gravel over the many years. But all the excavation has been done. They've pretty much mined all the sand and gravel out. Some of the larger remnants of that, as you can see as you drive east on Catella, you see the bond pits, which are now settling basins for our water table, which is a good use for them. But now it's time to change direction and realize what an asset this green space is running through Orange. About 15 years ago, a bike trail was put along there. We want to look at extending that both through Santa Ana and to the Santa Ana River, as well as continued further east in Orange. There's several sites along the creek that are still being eyed for development, and we're going to be looking closely at that to see if that's really in the best interest long term for the city of Orange. And then we've got I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Sully Miller site, which I'm sure you're all aware of that. If you drive east on Catella in the Orange Park Acres area, those big mounds of debris that have accumulated over the years, which is a major nuisance for folks in East Orange, not only visually, but in terms of the dust that's generated. It's not been a good thing. So we've got to figure out how we can clean that up and hopefully turn that into permanent open space. So those are just a few of the issues that we have to look at along the creek.
Perfect, thank you. Quick, now just, I guess, circling back, we've had so many great guests. So I believe it was May, we had Anna Pahushek, and she talked a bit about the Tustin revisioning and the Plaza Paseo. If you can kind of give us an update on what those two look like. I know I saw a note going out for the revisioning that there is, I guess, the third of the ad hoc meetings coming up this week. That's on Thursday night, 6 p.m. Council chambers?
I think it's 5:30.
5:30. Can you give us an update on those two projects?
So the North Tustin plan, the council last year wanted to figure out the Orange Mall is struggling, as many malls are nationally, and needs to be re-envisioned, redeveloped, quite frankly. So it's a complicated issue because there's 3 owners of that entire site, and so trying to get them all together is very complicated. The main kink is the fact that the Sears property is owned by a longtime Orange family, and Sears, or what's left of them, still has a 32-year lease remaining on that site. So trying to shoehorn them out of there is the challenge. Meanwhile, the mall is dying, and Costco wants to be at the Sears site in the worst possible way. And I would love to see Costco go on that site. The sales tax they would generate for the city would be phenomenal. We don't have a Costco in Orange. Costco's been wanting to be in Orange, looking for a site for at least 20 years. And Orange is so blessed to have all this great business activity. They just can't find a site, is the bottom line. But that would be a premier site for them. It's big enough it would work. What the council originally envisioned was kind of a mixed use for the Orange Mall that would include a lot of residential. But the residents up there really pushed back on that, because what was being proposed is 3- and 4-story denser development. And it really doesn't work next to single-family homes. So a lot of protests about that. So that was pulled back. And now the city has been holding ad hoc public committee meetings with the neighbors, and anyone's invited to go and get input on what really would be the best use for that site. I would really like to see it remain predominantly retail. Cities thrive off of sales tax revenue. That's why I love businesses so much. Residences are a drain on our city's resources because of all the services that they demand. So we've got to retain our vital sales tax revenue generating properties, and this is one of the major ones. So this Thursday is the third of 3 ad hoc committee meetings. They're being held in the council chamber. If you live in North Orange, it'd be worthwhile to go It'll be from 5:30 to 8:30, I believe, in the council chambers. And then we'll see what happens after that. But hopefully some exciting things for the Orange Mall. It would be really great to kind of wake that corner of the city up. As far as the Paseo is concerned, I think that might kind of be on permanent hold. It was very controversial. It was a vital element during COVID. It really helped our downtown businesses. But there's a lot of controversy over closing Glasell Street off to traffic, which is what the Paseo would require. And Old Town has always been a spoke street, traffic on a grid pattern. The problem with the Paseo and closing Glasell Street is most people don't realize that the buses travel on Glasell Street. So if you close Glasell, then they're rerouted onto residential neighborhoods around us, which of course the residents don't like. I don't think I would care for either. Even the bus drivers don't like it because, as you know, in Old Town there's a lot of sharp old corners, and they've deemed it to be unsafe. And so it's very unlikely, I feel, that Glasell will be closed again. However, I think there's a compromise in the mix. I've always envisioned wider sidewalks, perhaps even taking parking off Glasell, making it kind of a compromise where we have more of a Paseo feel, but yet we still keep traffic open. So anyway, there's supposed to be a report coming back on that, so more about that in the future.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So there are two individuals. One of them our former police chief, Tom Casella, and then also Mary Benning, who is serving as interim city attorney. So we have interim city manager and interim city attorney. Can you give us a status of what it would look like for permanent staffing, or what do you see those offices looking like in the next, 90-ish days?
So I'll start with the city attorney. Gary Sheets retired, and on January 10th, he's been our city attorney for several years. We have an assistant city attorney, Mary Benning. She's actually retiring in June or July. So we are looking at making her our city attorney while we begin to search for a permanent city attorney. But the council is also considering looking at other options, perhaps kind of a mix of outside resourcing for city attorney services, as well as just going outside entirely for city attorney services. So we're also considering that as well, as there could be ways to save the city money and yet also provide a broader base of attorney services. So, but we are proceeding with the process of looking for a new permanent city attorney. As far as the city manager, our former police chief, Tom Casella, was chosen last year to be interim city manager. And the council is actually considering offering him the job for up to 2 years. And Tom has stepped into the job and is doing an amazing job, quite frankly. He lives in the city. He knows the city inside and out. He's very pro-business. He's very responsive to the city council. He works extremely hard, and I'm really happy to have him in that seat right now. And so the council is considering keeping him or making him permanent city attorney for up to 2 years. And then about 6 months out, if he does accept that position, from about 6 months out from him retiring again, then we'll begin a search for a new city attorney that will be more permanent. But for the time being, we're in great hands with Tom Casella, and the council is very pleased with him.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? I know I've been taking all the mayor's time, and this is why you guys are all here. I see a question, if you could, Bill.
Yeah, hi, Mayor Dan. I haven't said that to you yet. So, the discussion with the Costco potential proposal there, are they going to be looking again back at on-ramp and off-ramp on beats in the 55? Is that part of that proposal?
I really appreciate that question. So the question is, at Meats and North Tustin Street, where the Costco I'd love to have. So would we have off ramps at Meats from the 55 freeway? So a little bit of history on that. When I was on the council 20 years ago and the 55 freeway was widened, staff approached me and said, hey, here's an opportunity. We could provide a better circulation in the city, provide better access to the Orange Mall, if we would provide off-ramps at meets. So the best we could do at the time was to build the new bridge wide enough to accommodate future off-ramps, and that was done. So if you drive over meets, you'll see it's twice as wide as it needs to be. So I am pursuing that as much as I possibly can. You know what a bottleneck it is at Catella and Knoll Ranch Road? What a relief it would be to have off-ramps at meets and also provide better access to the Orange Mall. So that's something that we're already starting down the road to bring back to life. The council about 8 years ago was approached by Caltrans and said, hey, we finally have the money, let's do this. But the council pushed back and said, no, there's going to be a few neighbors that aren't going to like that. And so, no, let's not go there. And so an opportunity was lost. And yeah, leadership requires making some tough decisions sometime and doing what's in the best interest of the entire city. And you're not going to always make everyone happy. I realize that, but you certainly have to do what's in the best interest of the entire city. And I think the city needs off-ramps at meets. So thank you for asking that.
Thank you, Phil. I see a question from Pat. She's coming up.
Since I live off of meats, and
Uh-oh.
I would like to see it happen. But I would ask that you also take into consideration the traffic issue that Orange Lutheran has there on Santiago and how having an on-ramp from the freeway there, it needs to have a really thorough study as to how big traffic flowing through there, because I love Orange Lutheran, and it's just that it's a lot of traffic in that area during the hours of getting them into school and getting them out of school, and I'm concerned about how we can handle that traffic.
Thank you, Pat. So she's asking about traffic going to and from Lutheran High School. So as a graduate of Lutheran High School, I was there when there was only 30 people that graduated, but it's a lot bigger now. We commuted to Olu we lived in North Santa Ana at the time, and we always had to take the freeway and get off at Knoll Ranch Road and then come back down Santiago to get to the high school. But if you can imagine, currently all of the students that are commuting to Orange Lutheran, if they're coming from out of the area, many, many are, they're going to have to get off the freeway at Catella or Knoll Ranch Road. And now if the meets off-ramps were there, they'd be able to get off at the meets, and all that traffic would be removed from Santiago Canyon Road. But certainly there's going to be many studies involved with making sure we do it right, because that's a huge expenditure and we don't want to make any mistakes. So thanks, Pat.
Thank you, Pat. Anyone else have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate being here today. I had a question about the fire station, which is a great new asset for the city, and besides being a nice station, it provides safety, and I know some upgrades were made. But what about the parcel that they left? I understand at one time it was going to be a parking structure. Does that need still exist, or does the city have plans for that?
That's a great question. So the great question is what will be done with the old fire station that the city just left or abandoned, quite frankly. So it has been talked about, I've heard it talked about being parking structure of some kind. So it's interesting, the city owns that entire block. There's an old apartment building, there's a couple of parking lots, and then on the corner of Chapman and Grand, there's actually that old Orange Home Savings and Loan. The city is in that building as well. So there's a lot of possibilities possibilities of what could happen with that entire half block. There's definitely a need. There's definitely a need for more parking for Old Town. There's no question about that. So I think that some component of that probably will be parking, but there's going to be a lot of studies and community input, and I certainly would like the Chamber's input for what would happen there as well. But we want to make sure we utilize that space to the best of our ability. And City Hall is quite frankly busting at the seams. It's a building that was built in the 1960s, and we could use more space as well. So a lot of possibilities and a lot of study will go into that. I hope the Chamber is involved with that.
Yeah, we would love to be involved. Not speaking for everybody. Any other questions? If not, did I say question? No. Okay, if not, I would like to ask you a fun question. I think that it's just nice to have a nice touch to it for something fun. If you could tell us, I won't ask you your favorite restaurant because I don't want you to put you on the spot when we're here in OC and the food is so delicious. But what's your favorite time of year in Orange? Or like a favorite event? Because that, we have so many events throughout the year. So if there's a favorite time of year or a favorite event during that time?
Well, if I, had a day off and I wasn't concerned about running into the public, I would be driving around Old Town in flip-flop shorts and a tank top and a Jeep, because I love the summer. I love warm weather. And so my favorite time of the year is summer, and my favorite festival in Orange is the Orange International Street Fair. So, and while we're on that subject, one of the things I've always suggested, it's a shame that the street fair weekend always seems to be the hottest weekend of the entire year. And last year was one of the worst. And that's one of the rare opportunities that nonprofits in the city have to truly make some money. So I keep throwing it out there, and it keeps falling on deaf ears, but maybe someday it'll stick. But I really think we should move the Orange International Street Fair to May or October, when it's likely to be cooler. It does not have to be on a 3-day weekend. We don't have it on Monday. So there's all kinds of options, but that's something that I would definitely like to see. Poor Pat last year, she practically wilted in the heat. Right, Pat? Yeah. So anyway, just a thought.
Yeah, definitely. I love the street fair as well, and it's like fire. You're thinking every year you go out there, it's not going to be that hot, and it's just like fire raining down. So that is a good thought to move that over. Well, our chamber members, as you know, as past president, are the business community for the most part. We do have some community members, but it's 90% the business community. What message would you have for them today?
Orange loves our businesses, and we want to support you any way we can. So if there's any needs that you have, please don't hesitate to contact me or the city manager's office. We really want to please. We really want to support our businesses. If you have any friends that would be interested in locating in Orange and need help or need some suggestions on where they could go, again, please contact us or contact City Hall. We want to have a strong relationship with the Orange Chamber of Commerce, because you are so vital to the success of our city. We appreciate you so much. So much success again in 2023. I hope you all have a banner year.
Thank you. Well, if there aren't any questions, I'm going to go ahead and head into some announcements and then turn the mayor loose to talk to you all. Anyone have last questions? Okay. So I do have some announcements. Bear with me. There are quite a few. So we have our business networking group. That's the first and third Wednesdays. It's a lunch held at Zito's on Tustin Avenue. Delicious lunch. Our next one is on February 1st. Ribbon cuttings, we have a couple coming up between now and the next Eggs and Issues. We have TMC Windows and Doors on the 31st and Pega's Healing Center on February 23rd. The Old Town Ghost Walk, that is going to be on February 9th. Our next mixer, I see Kim Lee sitting right here to my right. She is hosting a mixer on February 16th. You guys, if you haven't met Kim, she's right over here in the corner. Chat with her, come to the mixer. Our next Eggs and Issue back here at OC is going to be on February 28th. We're going to be talking to Larry Dick. He is from the Water District. Last but not least, we have the May Parade. Do you guys see the lovely flyers on your tables? The May Parade is coming up. It's coming up quickly. That's going to be on May 6th. Very slight adjustments if you turn it over. There are very slight adjustments to those sponsorship levels. I mean, literally, it's $600 for a chamber member, $750 for a non-member to get started in the parade. And you have it's like a once-in-a-lifetime thing to be part of something that's your hometown. Do it. Come be a sponsor. Is there a question? Are you going to be sponsored right now, John? Oh. I was like, okay, let's do it. Connie will take your money. I'm sorry?
The Orange Art Walk.
Art Walk. Oh, it was in March. I'm so sorry. No, I was just doing from now to February. But we have an Art Walk coming up in March. Yeah, I know it's in May, but we have sponsorship that is due. That's why I'm mentioning it. So sorry for jumping ahead to May, but yes, we have sponsorship that we'd like you guys to do. The last sponsorship that I'm going to mention is the presenting sponsor, which I think is an amazing opportunity. Your name, face, all the things are pretty much everywhere from now until the parade. $15,000 gets you that presenting sponsorship. I know a couple businesses I have in mind. I think one of you I see here, so I will be darting towards you afterwards. But give Connie a call, give Elizabeth a call, and we'd love to have you sign up and join us for the parade. That is my last announcement. So make sure you follow the Chamber on social media. That is how you will see all the events coming up. Special thank you to OC and Mike Flynn. Mike, thank you. To those of you who have not been here for breakfast, it's because they don't serve breakfast. And it's delicious. We appreciate it. We also love their famous Thai tea, which is right behind me, and I have a glass over here to my left. I couldn't get away without having that glass of Thai tea.
Quick pitch.
Oh, yes.
If you haven't been here for dinner,
so good.
The food here is so good. Please come back. Mike does an amazing job.
Yes, thank you, Mike. And then last but not least, special thank you to our chairman sponsors, our board of directors, our members and staff. And then of course, Honorable Mayor Dan Slater, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to a great couple years with you. And I'll release you to the masses here. Everybody have a great day.